Fall is my favorite time to be in the kitchen. There's just so many cozy things to make, and today I want to share a lot of the things that we have been making around here. If you are brand new to my channel and just stumbling upon this video, I make from scratch cooking videos. I also do home decor. We have a large family of 10, and my passion is cooking from scratch. I also just released my very first sourdough cookbook. I have been baking sourdough since about 2010. It started with some basic whole wheat sandwich bread made in loaf pans, and now I make everything with sourdough, and it is the biggest asset to my kitchen. Now, that's not what I'm making right now. I am making soup. I love making soup because it's something you can throw together with whatever ingredients you have. I like to just saute together, usually carrots, celery, garlic, onions. If I have something else, I'll throw that in there too. This time of year, of course, we're still getting lots of vegetables from the garden, so it's a good opportunity to use up those things. You can sneak it in a soup. This time, I'm going to add some chicken and wild rice. This recipe is over on my blog, farmhouseonboone.com. If you search creamy chicken and wild rice soup, it's one of our family's favorites. It is the most flavorful soup because of all the veggies and the herbs and even a touch of lemon juice and adding some color to the chicken. It ends up with just so much flavor. It's definitely one of our favorites, and it comes together with a lot of those root vegetables that I keep on hand, with the meat that I stock and rice in the pantry. I think your family is going to love it too. I always deglaze the pan with a little white wine and then add that back into the pot. It adds so much flavor. And then I finish this soup with some lemon juice and heavy cream. It's indulgent and absolutely delicious and wonderful. I salt to taste, pepper to taste, and I'm gonna head out to the herb garden to fill this with some of those fall tasting herbs, which to me, rosemary, thyme, sage are among those. want to say thank you to Nutrafol for sponsoring today's video. I try to cook from scratch and source high quality ingredients because health and wellness is a priority for me and my family. As a postpartum mom, I think I can still call myself that. I mean, it's been a little bit over a year. I know there are a lot of demands on my body due to hormonal changes, nursing a toddler, I'm still nursing currently, and of course the demanding role as a new mom. A lot of women struggle with postpartum hair thinning, which is why I started taking Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand with physician formulated products trusted by over 4,000 healthcare providers and hairstylists across the country for reliable results. It targets the underlying cause of hair thinning with 100% drug-free ingredients. 91% of women saw less hair shedding after 2 months, 98% of women saw improvement in their hairline after 4 months, and 100% of women had visibly thicker hair after 6 months. Here are some examples of other women that have found a lot of success with Nutrafol. You can see by the great before and afters. And I love the lineup of ingredients: DHA omega-3s, collagen, nettle, apple, among so many other things. You can get $50 off your first 3 months or $106 off your first 6 months by using my link in the description box below. Another recipe from the Farmhouse on Boone blog that we've been enjoying is sourdough granolas. This is a good way to use up some of your sourdough starter to add a little bit of those fermented grains to a granola recipe. So for this one, I'm doing 3 cups of chopped nuts. You can use pistachios. Those are really wonderful. Today I'm using walnuts and pecans, 2 cups of oats, 8 ounces of coconut chips, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of honey, 1/2 cup of oil. I either use avocado oil or coconut oil. You could also use butter, 1/2 cup of sourdough starter. I'll toss that all together, toast it in the oven, and then once it is out of the oven, I'll add in about 1 cup of dried fruit. I like to do dried cranberries or raisins. Sometimes I get fancy, but usually I just stock bulk of those ingredients. So raisins, walnuts, pecans, and oats, and honey, all the things. And so it's just really easy to throw this together with those. And I usually don't have anything fancier than that, but it's great to have a big batch of granola to make mornings a lot easier. My kids like to have this in a bowl with some raw milk and sliced bananas. I also added, I forgot to mention, some pumpkin spice to this one to make it a more fall version. So pumpkin spice sourdough granola, make it in a big batch, and your mornings will be easier because of it, and it's delicious.
What's in here, Mom?
To me, fall and winter is the best time for sourdough, not only because your oven is going and it maybe heats the house a little bit, it's cozy, but also I like the process of how sourdough rises much better in the wintertime. So in summer, it's a more accelerated process. I will mix up the ingredients. Usually I can only let them sit out at room temperature for 3 to 5 hours before it's big and bubbly and doubled. Whereas in the winter, I can make something in the afternoon, let it sit in my pantry all the way until the next morning sometime when I'm able to deal with it. And usually I end up with a product that is slowly fermented. So the good bacteria has been interacting with the flour for a good long while to make it more digestible. There's that sour developed flavor that you will learn to know and love so much with sourdough. And you can prep a bunch and just deal with it the next day and stash it in the fridge or actually make the thing. So I love sourdough for its flexibility, but especially in the wintertime. I'm mixing up 2 different doughs this afternoon. One's a focaccia, which I'm just doing 1 cup of starter, 1.5 cups water, 1/2 cup olive oil, tablespoon honey, 2 teaspoons salt, 4 cups flour. And then also a new recipe on the blog, brioche cinnamon rolls. So this is just like my cinnamon roll recipe and my brioche recipe combined together. So I'm making up brioche dough, and then I'm going to make them into cinnamon rolls. I used to do this exclusively in the mixer, and it still says that on my blog. It says that in my sourdough book, but I'm constantly learning ways in real time in my own kitchen on how to do things in a way that makes more sense for my lifestyle, my family. And for some, it's putting on that mixer, letting it knead a while, and then stashing it in the pantry overnight while it ferments. But I've learned, since I'm home all the time, that I actually prefer to do stretch and folds just because I can not have the mixer going for a long while. I don't have to get another bowl dirty. I mean, you could just make it right there in the mixer. But anyways, I like the slow process of it. So I can mix up the dough. We can go about our evening. We went on a walk as a family. 2 hours later, I came back, did a couple stretch and folds on both of my doughs, did that again, maybe after dinner cleanup, before bed, and then I just let it sit in the pantry. Stretch and folds throughout the evening after the flour has had a long time to soak up all the liquid. Really develops the gluten nicely, and it's a very hands-off process. I don't have to really time anything. I just come over and stretch and fold throughout the evening, maybe 3 times, maybe 4, maybe 6. It all just depends on what we're doing. And I've been loving that for nearly everything lately. Both recipes are in printable form over on the Farmhouse on Boone blog. You can also get the brioche and focaccia in my new sourdough book, which you can find over at homesteadliving.com/daily sourdough. I'll leave a link down below. Oh, I did forget to mention what flour I used. I like to do half whole grain, half all-purpose in most of my recipes just to give it great texture, but also some whole grain benefits. I had some whole grain bread flour from Azure Standard that I was trying to use up because I've had it for several months, or maybe longer than that. So I was able to use the rest of that in my big bucket with the green lid so I can restock. It really helped this dough to rise beautifully. One great thing about this cinnamon roll recipe is you can get them all the way to the point where they're cut out in a pan, then just put some foil or beeswax wrap, plastic wrap on top, put them in the fridge, let them rise really slowly, and then you can bake them first thing in the morning. So it's a really great make-ahead thing. You could use it for maybe Christmas morning breakfast if you're starting to think about that. There you go. You play on a trampoline? I'm going to put mine in a warm spot and accelerate the second rise. Again, you can do it slow in the fridge or really quickly. Now for my focaccia, I want to make it a fall version. So I'm going to slice really thinly some butternut squash and roast that. I'm going to add goat cheese, caramelized onions, some mozzarella just to add a little bit more cheese, make it delicious. Drizzle with some honey, and then I'll go to the garden and again get so many herbs that make everything so flavorful all summer and in the fall too, till it frosts. A lot of these herbs will hold up maybe for a couple frosts. Some are a little hardier than others, but I'm just savoring every last bit of this. They dropped me. I'm making these extra indulgent with a little cream cheese frosting with some cream cheese that I've had softening for a while, maple syrup, cream, some vanilla. You could add a little bit of cinnamon or pumpkin spice. So tasty. I have to be honest, I'm including these pumpkin patch shots because my daughter made my youngest a pair of overalls with some vintage corduroy fabric, and I think it's just the cutest thing. I have to be honest, my kids do not like pumpkin soup. They've decided that a lot of years ago, but I thought I would try it again, but add a bunch of cream, a bunch of sausage, and see if I could smooth it over that way. Now, I have to tell you after this that I personally think it's the most delicious thing ever. I do not understand why they don't like it, especially packed with all that sausage, but they still decided that they didn't. So, you might want to try it. You might not want to. It all just depends. Kids have fun getting the seeds out of pumpkins anyway, and they like pumpkin when it's blended up and put into a sweet treat, but for some reason, the soup is just not my kids' cup of tea. I personally loved it and also ate it alongside the fall-themed focaccia. It was just so good. It might just be an adult thing speaking, but those two things paired together, you're going to want to try it. I'm also adding kale from the garden to this soup. Just chop it up finely. If you do have any hope of your kids liking this soup, I recommend that. And another thing I'm trying today is toasted pecans, apples, cinnamon, and raisins all added to a sourdough boule. I already know that I love adding cranberries and walnuts toasted to a sourdough boule, but I'm trying a few other things and pecans. I'm doing half of the whole grain bread flour again, half all purpose. It's the usual no knead artisan boule that's very popular over on my website. I'm doing half of it, setting that aside and just making a normal loaf of bread because we have co-op tomorrow and I need to bring sandwiches for the kids, and the other half will have all these add-ins and mix-ins. That's going to be so good. Toasted with butter. It's even good alongside eggs. Well, I hope you enjoyed all of these flavors of autumn. Thank you so much for stopping by our farmhouse.